Hey guys, today we're looking at a pretty nice strat that revolves around farming Harbingers for Fracturing Orbs and other currency shards. It's not the most profitable this league compared to other strats like farming maps, but it's quite low cost per map and also extremely easy to liquidate, so I actually like it quite a bit. The gist of it is we're gonna spawn Harbingers on the map, which spawn extra monsters around them. You kill them, and then you hopefully get some nice loot from the Harbingers and also the monsters that they have spawned. The only downside of this strat is that the main target in here, which are Fracturing Orbs and Shards, can sometimes not drop for quite a few maps, so you have to make sure to run this only in decent batches. I'd recommend running at least 20 maps at a time. Otherwise, you also get other currency like Ancient Orbs and Orbs of Annulment, which also sells, and then you also get tier 17 maps. And we also target Beyond mobs, which drop Eldritch currency, which also adds some consistency into your returns. So the strat is basically you get 3 Harbinger scarabs. These spawn additional Harbingers in the map, and then you get the Scarab of Regency, so this gives them a chance to be replaced by a powerful Harbinger boss. They get a lot bigger, they drop better rewards, basically surrounded by smaller Harbingers, and spawn a lot more mobs. And then we get warhoards, and basically does what it says. You just duplicate the currency shards that the Harbingers drop. On the map craft, we're gonna do Harbinger craft because that's gonna put some extra Harbingers on the map, and we're gonna do Eater Worlds because that's what I have on the Atlas tree. Now as for the Atlas tree, I've taken this kind of a tree, so basically we take the nodes in the center and then we take a bunch of Harbinger nodes as well, so we basically take all the clusters that we have, take these ones for extra chance of finding extra content, so that's Harbingers, and then basically go through the Atlas. We get Eater nodes as well. You can try experiment. I mean, you can grab Searing Exarch, or you can perhaps try to play with Destructive Play. The Harbingers aren't really affected by quantity or rarity, so basically you're not gonna affect the chance of Fracturing Shards dropping. You can swap it out, you can try experiment with different things. I grabbed Beyond as well. Beyond is pretty good for Harbingers because Harbingers is always a lot of monsters close together, and so because of that you get a lot of Beyond currency as well from that. Apart from that, I've also grabbed some extra Scarab nodes as well. So the Scarab nodes here, prioritize Ambush because Ambush Scarabs are quite expensive at the moment. Take some explicit modifier things as well on the map, so basically boost the maps a bit. And yeah, so I've got quite a few Citadel maps. With this in mind, probably especially if you don't care about gold or just in general, I think that probably it would be best to do a different map than Glacier. I expected actually a fewer maps, but this is quite nice to see. Apart from that, there's not a very crazy amount of loot. There's some uniques that I've picked up, recommended by my loot filter. And apart from that, there's like a few scarabs. I think I've got some expensive scarabs. I've got a few divine orbs. These don't drop consistently, but they kind of do drop regularly enough, so that's raw drops. And then I have some fracturing shards as well, so you can see I have got a fracturing orb and 6 more fracturing shards. Let's go over to Wealth Exile, see what it's actually looking like. So I've got 17 divs in currency. A lot of it comes in the shape of the Harbinger related currency, so that's the Fracturing Orb, that's 5.4 divs here. I've also got some in the Fracturing Shard as well, so that's 1.4. Realistically, it's closer to 2. I've also got quite a few Ancient Orbs and Orbs of Annulment. These are very easy to sell, very easy to liquidate as well, so that's quite good. The Citadel maps I've got, so now I've run Glacier. Perhaps it's better to run a map that drops better tier 17 maps. I underestimated the amount of tier 17s I would get, so with this in mind, you could probably run something else. For example, Underground Sea could be very nice, because it's a very dense map. The layout is a bit wonky, but the problem is these maps take a bit longer anyway, so you don't really care. With this in mind, this is gonna probably cost about 5 divs, so I'm gonna try to liquidate this, and then we're gonna see the actual numbers after liquidation. Alright, let's go over the Excel sheet. So there's my strats compendium. I also put some extra information here, like the builds I'm running, etc. Now, this strat's number 8. Let's open the relevant sheet. You can see the number here, and then you go open the sheet number 8 as well. Now, the cost assumed the price of divs 140C. Total aggregate was 8.3 divs. It was a pretty cheap strat to run for sure. So it's not the cheapest you can run, but it's also not very expensive. The cost per map was 0.27 div. Just check the cost of everything in red, because the price of these scarabs can fluctuate throughout the league, so you really want to make sure. You can even swap the numbers. You just copy the sheet and swap the numbers out. The revenue I've got was 27 divs, so this is after selling the citadels. As I said again, run a map that drops something else that's citadels, and then you can profit a bit more from that. Total profit in divs was 18 divs, and the per map was 0.6. So these numbers are quite nice, I think. I've actually made a bit more profit than I'd expected from this strat. And I guess a lot of it comes from the fact that it's quite cheap to run. The profit per map is quite good as well. The only problem is as I point this out here, the time per map is quite high compared to other strats. For example, toxic sewers, that you can just do like 1.5 minutes. 3-4 minutes you could expect, and then you can probably expect, or you can do them a bit faster as well if you're fast, but because of that you can expect anywhere from like 8 divs per hour to 15 divs per hour, depending on a lot of factors, how fast you are, what map you're running, and also just how lucky you get with the drops. ROI per map though is quite good, so this figure is a lot higher than I'd expected. It means it's one of the most cost-efficient strats I've tested, which is a very good sign. The amount of gold I've got was not impressive at all. I expected to get more considering I'm running glaciers, but I guess this strat is just not really that good for it. Because of that, don't run glaciers, I think was a mistake. The gold per hour I'd gotten is somewhere around 500,000, so nothing impressive. I mean, it's a decent number. Now let's discuss the pros and cons and then my thoughts on this strat. So pros is because it's all currency shards mostly, and some tier 17 maps you get as well, it's extremely easy to liquidate. You can run this and then you can literally liquidate it in like a few clicks on the currency exchange. I really love that because that's so little effort compared to strats that involve map running, that involve map farming or something like that. The cost is quite low, so I like that. It doesn't really involve expensive scarabs, only 39C per map. Another pro is it suits your Gamba needs because you can drop more Fracturing Orbs or shards than average, and that feels quite good. Sometimes you drop a bit less, so that's something to consider. And also it can drop the mirror shard if you're very lucky. Don't count on this, but some people on Reddit have got it. Some people haven't. Some people run like thousands of maps and don't get it still, so just don't count on it, but it's still something to consider. The cons of this strat is the profitability is a bit lower than, for example, just farming 8 mods or tier 17 maps. The Harbingers as well, they can be a bit rippy, so sometimes I've died. It's nothing crazy like Rogue Exiles, it's a level of rippiness, but it's still a kind of rippy sometimes. And sometimes you can go for quite a few maps without the fracturing shard, so this is the inconsistency you can get sometimes from the strat. It goes the other way as well, and you can get more profit than you'd expect, but yeah, Harbingers, they can be a bit of a pain sometimes and just don't give you as much profit as you'd expect. Something to consider when running Harbinger strats. Overall, I think this is a good strat, especially for someone who is looking for something that's easy to liquidate. Overall, I'm happy I've run this. This might not have been the most profitable thing, but extremely easy to liquidate and pretty fast to do still. So overall, a pretty decent strat. Overall, my thoughts is strat is good. Just be aware that you can have some streaks of inconsistent returns. The opposite is obviously true as well, but just be aware. I really liked how easy it is to liquidate the profits that I've got from it, so that's something very, very nice. You don't need to sit and try selling your 8 mods at tier 17 maps for a long time. You don't need to go for the tab full of scarabs, selling it one by one, you know. It's just a few clicks and you've pretty much made the bulk of the profit. So I really like that. And yeah, perhaps you could run this as well if you're interested in something like this. I think it's a decent strat, but don't run small batches of this, please. Run batches above 20 maps at least, otherwise you just risk not really getting the returns that I've got, perhaps not even close to them. Right guys, thanks for watching. If you like the content, I appreciate if you like and subscribe, and also feel free to leave any suggestions in the comments, or if you have some experience farming harbingers or some thoughts, or you disagree with something I've said, feel free to leave it in the comments and I'm happy to discuss. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you later.